Hey there, greetings everybody. Want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So it's Monday night. That means it's Monday night's look back at a classic rock album. I chose this album for the week, Van Halen's, try to see you get an angle here. Van Halen's Women and Children First. Yes, this album was released March 26, 1980. Was recorded at the Sunset Studio in Hollywood, California. Yeah, definitely the Hollywood band, aren't they? This length is about standard for a Van Halen album. It's like 33 minutes, 34 minutes. They always were a little bit on the short side, which was okay. I didn't mind it, but a couple more tracks would have been nice too. Label on the Warner Brothers label, of course, and produced by none other than Ted Templeman. So this is a excellent album. Playing on the album, of course, the classic lineup of Van Halen, at least one of the classic lineups of Van Halen, featuring David Lee Roth on lead vocals, and he does play some acoustic guitar on the song Could This Be Magic. He's kind of a background acoustic guitar, and Eddie's doing the kind of lead part. And then you got Eddie or Edward Van Halen, depending on who's listening. Guitars, electric piano on this particular one, and backing vocals as well. Michael Anthony on bass and backing vocals, and then of course Alex Van Halen on the drums. In addition to that, they have one guest musician on this, Nicolette Larson, who does backing vocals on Could This Be Magic. I think this is the only female backing vocal part ever done on a Van Halen album. Am I wrong? I think I remember reading somewhere about that. Anyways, this album is a little damaged. I had a fall one time not so long ago, maybe last fall, and some of the albums got damaged. I got to get new containers for them. Anyway, so the album we're doing today, Women and Children First by Van Halen, one of their better ones. Every time I see this album, it reminds me of the front door at Castle Frank, where there was a guy with an acoustic guitar doing that Take My Whiskey Home on it. That was really quite well done. Had to remember it. Always will remember that because of that. So anyways, there's 9 tracks on this album. Of course, the 2 big ones are the opening 2 and The Cradle Will Rock and Everybody Wants Some. These were the 2 that drew me to Van Halen. Up until that point, I hadn't really listened much to Van Halen, but my friend said, "Oh, you got to listen to this album. Listen to these 2 tracks," and that's where it got started for me. The Cradle Will Rock is also, I believe, the one where has that electric keyboard part at the beginning. Some people kind of think it might be a guitar, but I think it's actually an electric keyboard. Then you get Fools, which absolutely killer riff on this. Killer, and the bass is really powerful on this particular track too. I really like this song. Really catchy as all hell, actually. I made a few notes about this too, just so I don't forget them. Yeah, heavy, catchy track on this particular track, bass and guitar. You got Romeo's Delight, typical kind of David Lee Roth sounding kind of song, like that quite a bit as well. Tora, of course, is that scraping, scorching guitar part at the beginning of A Loss of Control, which is a kind of a weird song for them. It's got this kind of really fast, almost speed metal type sound to it. Then you got Take Your Whiskey Home, which is more of a throwback to some of their quirky stuff that they like to do with that kind of acoustic part, and then it gets really heavy and catchy as hell again. Could This Be Magic? That's another kind of those whimsical songs, where it's him singing and a girl singing, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek joking part to it. I always get that feel from it. And then it ends off with In a Simple Rhyme, which is kind of a poppy track. It's got a heavy part to it, but it's kind of poppy, and I think this track kind of starts to be one of the type of tracks that they get more into as their music changes as they go along. But it's one of the first type of songs like that by them. So a really excellent album. Definitely a heavy rock album, no doubt about that. Of course, again, some pop on this, a little bit of whimsical type songs. Yeah, so, and of course Roth's voice is good. It's just that scratchy kind of perfect song for those bluesy type tracks. Some of the acoustic stuff elements here are excellent as hell. Eddie Van Halen is actually gifted in so many ways. The lyrics are kind of on that whimsical side as well. And I think this is the first album with no covers at all on this album. Really good, solid, all written by them, I believe, most of them. Yeah, and they use that phase shifting on the piano at the opening of Cradle Will Rock. And of course, Lee Roth again at his best with all that screaming that he likes to do. But I like his screaming as opposed to maybe somebody like Steven Tyler, who is a little bit of like a screeching tire type sound to it. Anyways, so there you have it. Women and Children First from Van Halen, one of the great classic rock albums. One of my favorite all-time Van Halen albums. Definitely an album that would make it in my list of greatest albums of all time. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. And any comments, put them in the comments section below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. And have yourself a good night. And we will see you next week on Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. Take care. Goodbye.